Brian Sobel. And Brian, let's first talk about the change in some of the Republicans here. Why do you think some of his Republican colleagues, if you will, voted with the Democrats on this?
I think it was a statement about the way that Congress wants to be treated by the president and the administration, that the Congress is the authorized body to deal with money, and the president's going around Congress. And I think a number of senators said, hey, we won't override this your veto by the numbers, but we want to make a statement.
It definitely was a shift in power. And speaking of, President Trump, we should say, is the most restrained president when it comes to the veto power. He's yet to use his pen until now, when many other presidents before him have used this power before. I mean, FDR more than 600 times in his presidency.
635 times FDR used the veto. And you go back in history, Ulysses S. Grant used it often, Harry Truman used it often. And but you're right, this is Donald Trump's first veto, and we'll see how often that becomes a tool for him, but and whether it could be overridden.
But it is a delicate balance of power here when you have some Republicans and/or Democrats saying, hey, we feel like President Trump is overstepping here. But how is it, it seems as though the president really has the power to do whatever he or she wants.
Well, we learn when we take government about the three branches of government, but over the years, the presidency has become the foremost focal point for the American public, and Congress has a lot of problems with that, as they should, because here you have 435 representatives, 100 senators, one president, and the president seems to have unequal power at times.
And there's supposed to be a balance between all three of those branches.
Right.
The ACLU saying earlier today that the president is a one-man constitutional crisis. Brian, tell us what happens next now that he issued this veto.
So both the House and the Senate will take a vote. It takes a two-thirds vote to override the president's veto,
which they don't have.
Which they don't have. They might be able to muster it in the House. Will not get it in the Senate. You need both houses, and you're not going to have that. So at this point, the president will have the ability to go ahead and start spending on the wall, with the exception of all the lawsuits that have been started around the country.
18 months out from the elections. I mean, this is a time President Trump is now 2 years into his presidency. This is one of his biggest campaign promises, and it's still yet to have been fulfilled. It seems to be in the works now, especially if they cannot override. But how do you think that's going to play into the election?
Well, the campaign narrative is going to be, I fought every day for border security and for a wall. And we know that the definition of a wall has morphed. It was once
not a wall,
a real wall, and now it's sort of it's a lot of different things. But that is going to be his campaign rhetoric and issue. Is I tried every day to provide this country with security.
You'll see him campaigning on that come next year.
Right around the corner.
All right, Brian Sobel, KTV political analyst.
Absolutely.
Thank you for providing.